This is the Business Experience Show, where we connect those who want to know more about digital marketing, social media, and business strategy with entrepreneurs who are succeeding in today's marketplace. Follow our blog, join our online network, or connect with us at thebusinessexperienceshow.com. And now, your host, Lisa Caprelli.
Welcome to the Business Experience Show. I'm your host, Lisa Caprelli. With me is my co-host today, Ryan Hawke East. Today we are speaking with Angela Clark of Living Your Choice. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you.
Give us some company background on Living Your Choice, Angela.
Sure. Living Your Choice has been started about a year and a half ago, but really came from my heart over years and years of being in senior living. I've worked in the industry for about 25 years. And what I saw was families and seniors got very confused during the process of deciding for senior living housing or other options for senior living help, whether that's home care, hospice, skilled nursing. Going through that process can be very stressful.
Can you go over your business background? What brought you into the senior living aspect?
Sure. Well, I say it started, I think, when I was about 7 or 8 years old. I used to ride my bike to what a lot of us think senior living is, and it was a convalescent type, older building, didn't smell great, tile floors, bright lights. And I had a group of 5 women that I would go and visit there that I just met over time from going, and would just take them things and spend time. And so I think that's what really drove my nursing decision, my nursing degree. So I do have a nursing background, went to the University of Kansas and got my bachelor's in science, and then sat for my boards and practiced for a couple years with clinical side, mostly med-surg, seniors, but really wanted to get more in the senior arena because I was just with adults across the board. And so I practiced for a couple years and then went into senior living in operations where I was involved with all Alzheimer's.
How old were you then?
Gosh, so it was about 24.
But when did you get your nursing credentials?
Yeah, when I was 23.
Okay.
I graduated 22, 23.
Okay.
Yep.
So you became an RN?
I became an RN.
At the age of 23?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty determined.
Yes. And so wanted to be in community. And back then, that was in like I graduated in 92. So, 92, 93, 94, being in operations and senior living, it was not what it is today. It was just really starting that assisted living concept of what people were doing, where it was more apartment style, living rooms, activities,
right.
And it was all Alzheimer's. So that was fairly new in this area. I was outside of Nashville in a town called Bowling Green, Kentucky. So had the experience to really learn operations and get involved with the business side. And then I moved about 15 years ago out to California with Senior Living Company and started then from that I did operations, sales. So really went through my career learning all of the parts of the business. So I said I've done everything from caregiving when I was a nursing student to get through help with nursing school to getting into a regional level, and then I was a vice president in a couple major providers. And I got my MBA along the way in about 2005. And so I just felt like because of the way my career was unfolding, which really wasn't planned, it was really just came from the heart. When I was 18 going to undergrad, I just knew I wanted to be a nurse. I didn't really, and I wanted to work with seniors. I didn't know what that was going to lead to. So it's been a really good combination.
And where do you see today, fast forward, the aging industry, the senior space? I mean, who knew back then that 10,000 people a day would be turning 65?
Right.
How have you seen technology and change and where the understanding of community needs to understand about senior and living?
Right. Well, definitely seeing a lot with technology right now, not only just on the marketing side or how companies, reach out as we talked about on the internet presence, but really from the operational standpoint in communities. There's a lot of companies out developing, GPS and staffing help, with technology to, alert, for example, if somebody needs help. There's better technology instead of a pull cord. People are using iPads.
Right.
They're using, the GPSs on the phones. There's services out there where you can know where your mother is if you're at your own home. I've watched companies use Skype just to talk. Let's say mom's in Kansas and daughter lives in California. So just even those simple pieces of technology, how to bridge the gap. And I think we're going to see more and more. There's a lot in medication management, not charting anymore with paper, but that digital
Yes.
ability to hold the records and chart from an iPad or from a handheld device where things can't be changed. So if somebody misses their med, there's no way to go back and then we're going to have really accurate documentation. So the other place, too, that I really believe in is the socialization. Lots of technology happening to bridge the gap with socialization. I just read an article this morning with the virtual like glasses that takes people into another place, or they can play a game. Seeing a lot of things with music, especially for dementia. So using technology with
using virtual reality.
Yes.
And they're able to even use that to see inside the brain to see what activates it, as well as what stimulates other things. And it's actually seen a lot of help with people who have Alzheimer's and dementia.
Yes.
Where they actually can relive things.
Yeah, and then there's some cool things too with just like lifting people that maybe can't get up on their own, different chairs and beds and devices. I think the one thing that we do have to make sure that as a society that we don't lose sight of, though, technology is taking us away into all different other arenas. But I believe in this industry, if you are a company that is high tech, how are you going to bridge the gap with high touch? And that's really what Living Your Choice wants to do and continue to do. We do believe in technology, but I think, you have to have the human component too, because, this is the aging group. There is care involved many times, or service. So, for example, even if it's an independent living person that moves into a community, they're going to want that service in the dining, the housekeeping, the activity, and that's really human contact.
So, Angela, when one meets you and one gets to know you, you have an amazing personality and presence. So I could see how people you live the walk. You could tell that you do what you love, and you've been very guided there. Obviously, probably by self-guidance. What do you want to be known for?
Well, I hope that I leave a legacy and a mark, that when my name comes across in the industry, that people say, I first and foremost care about the senior and the outcome and being able to have make a difference in their quality of life. And that's really where the business process came from, is how can we make a difference in quality of life to really bring a great selection to them? Because I do believe community living or services for seniors, whatever you add in their life can really make a difference. We have a lot of seniors out there that sit at home alone, may not have a meal today because they don't even know that they can get Meals on Wheels. Even those programs that have been around for a very long time, not having human contact throughout the day.
Right.
So, which we know can really be detrimental for health and really not provide a good aging process. So I want to be known for really helping create a great aging process for people.
Yeah, give an example of why isolation versus being in touch with your aging loved one is important.
Yes. Well, we're seeing a lot of studies out there now for the first time by a couple major universities that's really leading back to chronic disease and illness. And we know that a lot of times, people think, well, mom wants to stay home, or mom's voice that she wants to be home. But home can't be the right decision when you really look at it.
Right.
And we know that everybody's heard or a lot of people have heard the sandwich generation. So we've got adult children that have to work, maybe have kids still at home, but they have, mom's at home, 85, maybe they're alone, maybe just with their spouse. Sometimes during the day, they haven't had any other adult or human contact,
right.
Or maybe 4 days. So we know that this can lead to further chronic disease. There's some studies out right now that says after 65, 1 in 4 people have some type of chronic disease they're dealing with,
Right.
and that number jumps up obviously at 75 and over. So, and these studies are showing that it's linking right back to socialization. And a lot of people think about medicine or I need physical therapy, but when you look at your environment around you, we also know this is leading to dementia. That the brain stimulation, when you're not stimulated, that can also start that decline of the cognitive function.
So going back, when you said you were 7 or 8, you started getting into all this.
Yeah.
So like you've been seeing this throughout all the years, even through the years, how the technology has grown into it. Would you advise someone else following in your footsteps and doing the same route, or how would someone in this age attempt what you did back then?
Yeah, I always say, start, even at that entry level job. I think the entry level job, a lot of times people want to be the CEO immediately, but
Yeah.
I really believe that when you've walked in the shoes that you know so much more because you've experienced, right? It's not coming from opinion, it's coming from experience. So really knowing what it feels like to be in the community, to work with seniors, I really recommend for people to volunteer and get involved that way as well. But I do think that if you can, start in different avenues and be open and flexible. Sometimes people say, oh, I want to be an operator, or oh, I just want to do marketing, or oh, I just want to do sales. I think putting different hats on and learning how to function in each one of those positions can then build your career. Because ultimately, if you decide you want to run a big organization in senior living, those CEOs, COOs that have had the experience of all different departments can really be the best leaders.
Yeah. Did you, like, going back to those CEOs, did any of them mentor you in any way to help you get to that point?
Yeah,
what kind of mentors did you have?
Yeah, I had some great mentors throughout my time, and actually the ones that I still keep in contact with have had those multiple jobs. One of my mentors was a caregiver, was a regional, did kind of the same thing, was a vice president, and just really worked his career throughout. I have another mentor that unfortunately passed away last year, that he originally, when he was out of college, he and his wife lived in a community, basically financed everything they had to buy a community, and ran that community. So, and then that way he, after that, leveraged that and then built a company with multiple communities. So, but he really understood how to talk to a senior. He understood how to really talk to staff and then hear the problems, fix the problems, create an environment that people wanted to live in, and really bring quality of life to the table. And I think that's what made him a great, at one point leader in the industry, because he walked in all the shoes, and his heart came from the business.
So let's talk about volunteering and the importance of all ages to get involved with volunteering with seniors in the community. I spent a lot of my teen years volunteering. My mother was a nurse's aide in a convalescent home, so my sister and I would actually spend our entire summers working with older people per se. But and even as I'm getting old, I hate saying the word old. Isn't there also a so how can people get involved? How can you volunteer?
Well, I really think we've got to have, a lot of people out there trying to get people to volunteer, because here's the crisis that is upon us. So, we hear a lot of the press call it this senior tsunami, which is coming, and we know that is true. I know you mentioned 10,000 people turn 65 every single day. We're seeing a huge jump just in the next 10 years. People like to look at 2050, but there is a big jump in demographics in the bell curve by 2026. So the problem out there is there's not the manpower for caregivers, people to operate. And just even in the industry, there is a lot of building right now and new senior living concepts coming out, but to keep up with the pace of what the demand's going to be, it just is not. So I think if we can get a good volunteer programs out there, whether it's, Meals on Wheels, getting that bigger, people that can do home visits for the isolation to see people, get them involved, or to get programming, it's really important because we just, people are not going into nursing. They're not going into gerontology so much on the medical side, and just the hands-on finding caregivers, that masses of people to do the hands-on caregiving.
Right.
We're already feeling a crisis right now. So you can imagine what's going to happen in the next 10 years.
So, do you and like you said earlier, like there's like one of your mentors knew how to speak to old people. So
Right.
do you think the younger generation, what advice would you give to them in bridging that gap so when they do volunteer, like they can interact, or should it just be at a
Yeah, you know what? That's a good
basis?
point. We do know that younger group right now, a lot of handheld devices, a lot of texting, not so much face to face. So the senior population does use technology, but not at the level that obviously
The younger
is for the
generation.
really caregiver that we need. One of the things that I think is interesting, I was at the national meeting in Denver for Argentum, which is the national senior living organization. And we talked about the younger, person getting into the careers, but I think there's a group of people too that is really important, is really that 45 to 65 group. There's a lot of people that maybe have had a full career and wanting to change directions. Maybe somebody was in retail and, they spent 25 years in that. Maybe they want to transition over to a different career. So I think that would be interesting for people that maybe want that next step in their life. Maybe they've done everything they've wanted to do in their other career. And so I think those folks, maybe it's that 65-year-old that has just recently retired, but now they're starting to go, wow, I don't want to be, I'm bored at home. What else can I do? And those are folks that could give us 20 years.
Right.
And maybe not even volunteer, maybe it's volunteer, but maybe it's another paid job for those folks too. So I think that there's a company out called Seniors Helping Seniors, which is a caregiving company out there that actually does hire that more mature caregiver. And some of those folks had a full career, but now are doing that part-time to, give back. So I think there's a lot of education to be done because I don't think everybody knows, really how they can help.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very true. Good information. So, Angela, with how does someone know what they can afford or what they should budget with your company Living Your Choice? I'm sure that's one of their first questions. What's this going to cost me?
Yeah. Well, that's another concern, especially a concern for the future. Senior living for an average apartment, a one-bedroom apartment in the United States runs about, and there's stats out there you can pull it, runs about $3,600. Now that's typically for the apartment, but that's an all-inclusive in many situations. Now every company does something different.
And that's assuming a healthy process at that point.
Right. So that's 3 meals a day you're going to get with that, transportation, activities, the security, maintenance. Caregivers are there 24 hours a day. What's the other piece of that, though, is if you start to need care. So in many situations, now there are product out there that's all-inclusive, but it could be an add-on. So, my recommendation is to start early and talk to financial advisors to really help you through this process, especially, nobody has a crystal ball on how long we're going to live, but some looking at some of your family history. How long did your parents live, your grandparents? How healthy are you? That can give you some idea of with where we're going. I mean, the length of life has gotten greater in today. We've upped it a few years. And unfortunately, that is a problem out there. People are running out of money. They haven't planned, and there's really no, per se, federal assistance for a senior living community. I mean, it is mostly private pay out there. And even if you have a skilled stay in a skilled nursing, Medicare only pays for so much. So depending on your assets, that could be a problem. So I always tell people it's really important to be proactive and start planning early, for sure.
So when someone reaches out to you and they are ready to go into an assisted living or senior living, what is the first steps that you go through? I mean, can you take us through that process?
Well, we do. I have several questions that I ask, and it talks about family and lifestyle as well as the medical, what's going on. And we talk about what's the concerns for the future as well. In our face-to-face, we get a little bit more in depth where I talk more about those finances, the more of the things that need to happen face-to-face. I think there's just some things that people are not willing to talk about when they don't really know you and they don't have a relationship with you. So we really want that trust to be built in the relationship. And there are some things out there, this is the other piece of what I believe in and what I saw. The process really that builds relationship and trust can get people to an answer that may not otherwise happen because somebody didn't take the time to dig deep. There is some services out there, like there's an aid and attendance with veterans. There is a company called Life Care Funding that helps with if you have a life insurance policy, and there's some things they can do. There's Elder Life Financial, that's an unsecured line of credit. So there's also family members. I've had stories in my life where someone didn't think they could afford it, but they spent, they had a church family. They spent a lot of service in the church, and churches, I've had churches pay for senior living. I've had folks that were committed over their years to, I had a client that was VFW, and the VFW helped. I've had friends that have all pitched in. through due diligence and talking about a plan, I've had,
so
seniors
doing nothing's the worst choice.
Right. I've had, their family that has had 10 kids or 5
Yeah.
kids, and everybody's like, you know what, we can all pitch in X amount of money. So it's getting to the root of that, and that takes a little bit.
And providing that quality of life.
Yeah.
And that's
because ultimately, what's the alternative?
Right. Angela, I'm sure you have many success stories in working with your clients over the years. Give us a recent one of helping a senior and family.
Oh gosh, I have had a lot of those. Well, I had some success stories on that low income where I've had a woman that was living in low income housing. She didn't have any services. She was aging, and the daughter didn't know anything about the veterans program. We talked about aid and assistance, and they were able to get that, and she was able to move out and move in to a shared apartment, which that's another option. And people may not know, some companies out there do shared living, where they share apartments and they can break the cost down.
That is.
So that's some success stories. I've had stories where I had a family where the woman was in skilled nursing. The family wanted her out because they just didn't feel like she was getting any better and having any progress. We switched that over to an assisted living, senior living. She had a lot of socialization, caregivers. She started out with a lot of care. But that engagement of getting her up and getting her involved, they would take her to the dining room. She had chef-prepared meals with people at her dining table. And today, that woman is, dancing, going to activities, going out shopping, puts her makeup on, and literally, I didn't think we were going to have her with us. So those turnaround stories where people really, their aging process really gets completely turned around.
Well, that must just warm your heart and make you feel happy for when one day when we're in that space, which should be a long time from now, Angela.
Yeah. Yes, hopefully.
So man, it sounds like you do a lot all the time. When you have free time, what are your hobbies?
Oh.
Or does it all relate back to?
Right. Well, I'm a runner, so I do like to run. So I do that. I'm really obsessed right now with Orange Theory. So not that I'm on pushing that company, but if you haven't tried that, so I love that. It's a group. And I love spending time with my husband. We do travel. So when we can get away, we like to travel and spend time with our family.
Nice. Okay, I have one more question, and then we can wrap it up. So, Angela, you have a wealth of knowledge, You have a wealth of knowledge and incredible business experience, and you shine in doing what you love, and that's what I love in getting to know you over the years. What do you see yourself doing, and what's ahead of you? What are some of your goals and passions?
Oh, well, one of the things is I would love to see, Living Your Choice grow and be able to, help more people. That's just really the ultimate with that company because I have seen it make a difference for people. And so I think the concept can be replicated. I would love to spend more time giving back. I love volunteering and doing some things just to give to those seniors. So I really, see that for the future as well and getting more involved with that. Because I do believe, I don't know what it is yet, but because of the need, I think there's got to be something done to get our numbers out, to get people out there that are going to be hands-on. And then I love to teach. So, I think doing different education classes, whether that's to teach, I feel like Living Your Choice is a vehicle for that because I do a lot of just teaching people what senior living is. They may never make a decision, but asking me a lot of questions or calling me to say, hey, this is happening. Just help me. I don't know what to do. Or to teach the younger groups, what this is all about. I myself have a 22-year-old, and he asks a lot of questions sometimes when he hears me on the phone, and there is a need to really teach out there that next generation that's coming up that's going to be the ones that are going to help the growing population. So I think that's really what's going to probably be in my future.
Okay, I have another question. Okay, if your children were listening to this, what words of wisdom would you like to impart on them based on your life, business experience, and
or even the whole younger millennial generation
Yeah.
as a whole?
Well, I think one, and I know I don't want it to sound cliche, but I think if it doesn't make you, like if and your gut is telling you it's wrong, believe yourself. Listen to that inner voice, listen to that inner gut. And you really have to move by passion. Don't do something just because you think it's a status or it will come. And I think you have to be open and flexible and not think you have to be on one track. I also believe in taking opportunities that come to you and not getting hung up with. I know when I first started my career, people were like, oh, longevity, you've got to be somewhere for, my parents did the same thing for 30 years. I don't think that is necessarily the right path anymore. I think you need to be flexible, open, because you never know what might come across.
Right.
And every single experience that you have can take you in a different direction that you're supposed to be in. So I think staying open to that. And I believe in saying it out loud and believing it. And if you put it out there, it will happen. It's amazing when you really go after what you want and say what you want, that it'll come to you. It may not be today, but you have to be patient. And I think that's the hardest thing. You have to be patient, because I'm a very urgent, I want it now kind of person.
Yeah, same here.
So I have to really keep myself in check a lot and do some of that self-coaching.
Right.
Like, it's okay. It doesn't have to happen today. So I think having some patience.
So Angela, where can people reach you or Living Your Choice? Like, how do we reach out?
Absolutely. So we do have a website, and it's livingyourchoice.com. And then our 800 number is on there as well. And you can get us at 8.
We'll do that again.
Yeah, we need to add it.
To start that sentence again.
Okay. I always have to look it up.
It's fun, huh?
Yeah.
Let's do more of these. I told you it's addicting,
okay.
right?
It's right across the way.
All right, here we go. Do you want him
Yes.
to start?
Okay, so Angela, how can people reach out to you? Like, do you have a website?
Yes. So we're at livingyourchoice.com, and then our 800.
Wait, say that again. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Okay, yeah. So Angela, what's the best way for?
Just say it again.
So Angela, what is the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, we have a website, which is livingyourchoice.com, and they can also reach me on the company line. I do have an extension, which is 800-419-9098, and it'll prompt you to my exact extension, and you can reach me personally.
Wonderful. Thank you for being our guest today on the Business Experience Show, Angela.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, we were talking with Angela Clark. I'm Lisa Caprelli. Thank you, Ryan Hawke East, co-host.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
And until the next show, you're listening to the Business Experience Show. You can find information at thebusinessexperienceshow.com. We were talking with Angela Clark from Living Your Choice. Her website, again, is livingyourchoice.com. Thank you.